Hi everyone, I'm Coach John, and today I want to share a proven formula for turning your ideas into profits. Right, so we're talking about this book here, and this is the book I wrote back in 2017. Hey, look at that, I see Maura, and hey, Maura, how are you doing? So this is a book I wrote back in 2017, and on page 48 of this book, 48 is the formula that we're talking about. It's called Gleiser's Formula for Behavioral Change. And it is simply an amazing formula. And when we think about change, we think about what's required and why are so many people so resistant to change. And what Gleiser did back in the 60s as a clinical psychologist, what he did is he kind of outlined a formula and then he tested it and he proved it. So let me share that formula with you right now. And then as we understand the formula, then I can talk about how does this formula apply, because this formula works. This formula works whether works for your employees, it works for your customers, it works for your prospects, it works for your service providers. It works and the reason why it's a proven formula is because it works in every single situation. Doesn't matter, works in every single situation. Okay, so here's formula. All right, so I got my trusted pens here, right? And with every formula, there's an operator, right? So this is a greater than, and I'll try to make it a little bigger, greater than symbol, right? And so what David did is he said, hey, listen, the world is resistant to change. The R stands for resistance. And everybody's resistant to change. Why? Because it takes energy, time, money, effort, et cetera, et cetera. There's all kinds of stuff that go into play when it comes to change. And understand that for most of nature doesn't change very fast. It does, it evolves, but it doesn't change very fast. I mean, water always flows downhill. It always takes the path of least resistance. And people do too. People take the path of least resistance too. But we do have a choice. People can choose to put in the work and the effort and make something different happen. And so the key is, why would people do that? All right, so here's how this works. Over here is this big D, and the D stands for dissatisfaction. It might mean unhappiness. It could be pain, but wherever you're at right now, if you're not happy, there's a likelihood that you would be willing to at least entertain ideas to change. If you're not happy, willing to change, maybe, right? If it hurts, you want to fix it. And so depending on how much it hurts, if it hurts a lot, then we overcome the resistance, right? But it's not just pain, right? We have to have this other piece. There's a couple other pieces that are really important, right? So what we have here, oh, look at that, I get the fat side of that one. What we have here is the vision. So you have to have some way, some view of what it would be like to be without pain. So you could have great pain and a little vision, like just make the pain go away, right? That would be really important and really, really valuable. Or maybe it's okay kind of where you're at, but you really want something more, right? But these two things, it's a little bit of a multiplier. These two things have to be in play to be able to overcome resistance. And there's one other piece that's really, really important here. And that is, oh, I didn't get the pen. That's FS, and that's first steps. First steps, in other words, you have to know how to get rid of the pain and get to the vision. And you need all three of these before you can change. You need to have some degree of pain, maybe it's high, maybe it's low. You need to have some vision, maybe it's just make the pain go away, or maybe it's I really want something more. And you have to have a little bit of a plan. You need all of those things to be able to overcome resistance. Now, I just did this one-day business plan in my office last Friday. And one of the interesting components we talked about is customers, right? The customer process, knowing your customers. And what's interesting is that, I talk about internal customers, those are employees, and external customers, and those are your clients. I mean, you could say, hey, listen, they're not really customers, but if they weren't there, if they didn't do what you asked them to do, then you wouldn't have much of a business. So internal customers and external customers. And some of those internal customers, pretty much anybody that helps you serve your clients, serve the marketplace, is going to be an internal customer. And if you don't satisfy them, you don't take care of what it is that they want and what they need, then they're not going to stick around. They're not going to provide service for you. They're going to leave and go somewhere else. And today, with the employment rate as low as it is, it's hard. You don't want to lose employees. And you don't want, certainly, I mean, it's okay to lose those marginal employees maybe, but you certainly don't want to lose key employees. Losing key employees could be a train wreck for your particular business. So, for example, one of the questions came up, and there's been a lot of discussion about millennials and how millennials work, or how they need to be served in order to be able to serve your business. And just remember, from a millennial standpoint, I have 4 of them, 4 millennials, and they grew up in a different time period. They grew up in a time period where, the economic freedom and activity we had was a lot greater than, for example, when I grew up. When I grew up, we didn't have very much money. So if you wanted to buy anything, you had to go make some money. And so making money was a really important thing with my kids. And for a lot of millennials, they didn't have to make money because they had what they wanted. They had what they needed. And so money isn't as big of a motivator for many millennials. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not, because we can always go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we know that the lowest level of Maslow's needs is food, clothing, and shelter. And if you're at that space, then you need money. The next one's security. Second level is security. And if you're at that space, you might need money. And the third one is relationships. And if you're at that space, you might still need some money. But when it goes after that, once you get above that level, the next level is achievement, and ultimately we get up to this thing called self-fulfillment. You may not need, to get to the achievement space, you may not need money. You may need some support. You may need some resources. You may need some things that are important to you to be able to accomplish your achievements, but you may not need money. So anyway, when you're talking to, even when you're talking to millennials, what you have to do, the formula still works. The formula still works. What are they unhappy about? What are they unhappy about? What are they trying to achieve? Now, there's a lot of discussion in that space about millennials wanting to make an impact right now, right away, right today, right now. And they don't want to sort of earn their way up the totem pole. Well, it doesn't matter what you want. It's more about what they want, right? Because you need them from an employee perspective, and you need them to engage, and you need them to perform. And so what we really have to do is we have to figure out what is it that they really want, and is there any of this pain that we can help them move forward, right? Because if we can do this, and then you, me, whoever's doing the persuasion, trying to move them to your cause, to turn your ideas into profits, you get to put the plan together. And when you put the plan together that moves whoever from their point of unhappiness to their vision, right? Their vision, not yours. When you move them from their point of unhappiness to their vision, right? They're getting what they want. They're getting what they want. And if they get what they want, and you built the plan and you make sure you get what you want, now we have a win-win solution. We have a win-win solution. But the key is these two things, the D and the B, the pain and the vision, they have to be identified first. You can't possibly build a plan. You can't possibly figure out the first steps until you know what it is that you're trying to do. That's the clarity component of the book. When you read the book, I mean, it talks about attitude being first, ability to learn second, clarity third. That clarity is really where that's where this is. There's your clarity in where you're trying to move your idea into a profitable state, but it's also your clarity in trying to understand who you need to serve you to help you turn that idea into profits, because we typically don't do it by ourselves. We don't, that doesn't happen. Right, we're going to need a bunch of people. We might need some lending. We might need a whole lot of people to help us turn this idea into money. Now, all kinds of different resources that you might need. Every single one of them operates under this formula right here. Every single one of these operates under this formula. All right, so just real quick, this is, I won't say it's magic, but it's close to magic. It works every single time. If you can uncover the D and the B, build a plan, you will overcome resistance.